Namaste. Welcome to this talk on the Yogic view of self within the quote. This is the talk number 4. The speaker has been delivering this series of talks on the Yogic view of self. In the previous talk, number 3, the speaker has dealt with the samskaras as one of the prime aspects of the content of mind. In fact, we have been discussing what mind is. As we have already learned, a mind doesn't have a particular shape or form. It can be understood only in relation to three elements, namely samskaras, vasanas, and karmas. These three constitute the content of the mind. The content of the mind in Sanskrit is called pratyaya. So, in our previous talk, we have learned how samskaras constitute mind. And samskaras are what we may call impressions. The impressions formed by our actions stored in the subconscious state. This subconscious state is the bottom part of our consciousness. All experiences that we undergo on the surface of our living, that is, in the wakeful state, are pushed down to the bottom, since all these experiences on the surface vie with one another to stand. So all these experiences are recognized and pushed down to the bottom of our consciousness. And this bottom of our consciousness is called subconscious in Freudian sense. Now, this subconscious is a storehouse. It is a storehouse because it records and stores all those recognized experiences on the surface of our living. Now, we draw the sources of our actions in the present from these samskaras, the imprints or opinions, footprints, images, and so on. In a way, the action in the present is constantly guided by these samskaras. In other words, our actions in the present are influenced by these samskaras. The speaker has already said that there is no action that is spontaneous and sudden and natural. Every action is constantly influenced and motivated by our samskaras. And the speaker has also said that there are no actions in the human world. We do not perform actions, but what we perform is reaction. We react to situations. We react to the things and objects. We react to the ideas. and thoughts. And there is no action, um, as the speaker has categorically made it in his previous talks. So, what we need to keep in our mind, what we have learned so far, is that these samskaras are one aspect of the pratyaya. The content contains several things, and this is one. So these samskaras are very powerful. They have a powerful influence on our body and our present and future actions. In this talk, the speaker would like to take up another important aspect of the content of mind, that is vasanas. Vasanas are inherent tendencies of the past. We perform certain actions and reactions, and these actions and reactions also get firmly stored in the subconscious state we have already learned. But sometimes what happens in our life, we repeat the same action constantly. The same action is repeated twice, three times, four times, and every day it becomes a habitual action. So, whenever our actions are constantly repeated, they become habitual actions. And these habitual actions are known as vasanas. We may continue with the repetition of the action for some time and then give it up. But then, by abandoning such a habitual action, does not mean that we have totally demolished such habitual action. We have not totally destroyed such habitual action. Because these habitual actions, though are dispensed for some time, are there as latent forces in our being. They cannot be so easily eliminated. We may give up, but then sometimes we are influenced by such vasanas. Sometimes, though we have given we have given up them, though we do not repeat those actions. When we see something of the same kind, then the past habitual action would influence us to do that particular action again in the present. Let's take, for instance, the drinking. You may drink every day, but on the advice of the doctors, you will give it up. But that drinking habit is still there as vasana. When you meet a few friends on an important social occasion, um, your friends may arrange a party, a drinking party, and you are part of that social function, social gathering, and you look at this these people, your friends, consuming the liquor. You may not take the drink. On the one side, you're constantly g- remember, you constantly remember the words of your doctor, but then the latent tendencies are very strong. As the speaker has already said, they cannot be eliminated so easily. So these latent tendency will goad you to take a sip of that drink. So this is the one example that the speaker is giving you. Likewise, we have several such latent tendencies in our life. These latent tendencies constantly guide us, prompt us to do or perform our actions in the present. And these vasanas also constitute our character because they influence our behavioral tendencies, and our behavioral tendencies in a way take the form of a character. So vasanas also play a significant role in forming your character. We have already learned samskaras. Samskaras influence our behavioral tendencies. Samskaras also help us form our own character. Similarly, vasanas, the inherent past tendencies, the inherent past habits. The past habits need not be the actions performed life before death, but these past tendencies may belong to yesterday's actions or the actions that we might have performed a couple of weeks ago or a year ago or some years ago and so on. Therefore, the past year does not mean the life before death. The past year refers to a moment that is gone before the present moment. A moment that is already gone can be referred to as the past. Say the speaker is now giving the talk. The time now shows 5 minutes past 11, we can say the the 11 o'clock as the past, or 4 minutes past 11 can also be treated as past, or a few moments before this present moment could also be referred to as the past. So, hope the listeners understand this. What exactly past is? Past is not necessarily the life before death. So, the both samskaras and vasanas influence our actions in the present. They are inescapable, as the speaker has already said clearly, that there is no action that is pure, there is no action that is true, there is no action that is not influenced by samskaras and vasanas. Everything has a causal link. The one precedes the other, the other succeeds the other, and so on. So everything has a causal link, causal connection. There is no action that is independent. Please note, there is no action that is independent. Independent of thought, independent of thinking. Here, thought refers to the past, thought here refers to the vasana. So there is no independent action or reaction. The speaker has already said there is no action but only reaction, because the reaction arises out of stimulus. The reaction is a response to a stimulus. The stimulus may be a situation, the stimulus may be a thought, the stimulus may be an idea, or the stimulus may be anything else. It could be concrete or abstract. So we understand that there is no action or reaction that is purely independent, that is free from the external or internal influences. We are constantly prompted, guided, and motivated by our samskaras and vasanas. So, in this talk, the speaker has shown you how vasanas also help us forming our own character and destiny. And these two elements constitute the content of our mind. The speaker repeats that there is no mind in any particular shape and form. It doesn't exist like the body. The body is visible, we can see the body. The body is tangible, the body is gross. But mind doesn't have any shape and form. It doesn't exist in a particular shape or form. It is subtle. That which is subtle has no any physical form of existence. But this subtle has a powerful influence on our life. We have already learned that the body as a gross material is perishable and therefore it is not self. The self we are talking is something very complex, very mysterious. It's not a concept, but we are trying to explore what exactly self is. The self is not the body, is not the gross material. Similarly, in the last two talks, we have learned the samskaras and vasanas, the two important elements that make up what our mind is. Our mind is understood only in relation to these two elements, and there is another element that is karma. We shall examine the nature of karma, how complex it is, how it plays havoc on our life in our next video talk. Thank you very much for listening. Namaskar.